provision to Nigeria's economic problems. He is the Executive Secretary of TETFund. Please join me in welcoming Professor Suleiman Elias Bogoro.
Thank God the full members of the Board of Trustees of TETFund were introduced moments ago. I was waiting to hear that, and I want to sincerely appreciate you, sirs and madam, for joining us at this very important triennial event. Unfortunately, the last one that took place 6 years ago. So we missed opportunity of another one 3 years ago. But we thank God we are here today. Let me acknowledge, I am sure there will be a number of key taxpayers, very respectable, because this event will not be complete without the taxpayers. They are the key critical mass that have made this event possible. I want to sincerely appreciate all the taxpayers and representatives of our taxpayers overall, but particularly those that are receiving award for keeping faith with the law of TETFund that prescribes the 2% education tax. I want to especially welcome all of you. Permit me, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, to read out the welcome address for the purpose of kickstarting this event. It is with great pleasure that I welcome you all to this very important, traditionally triennial occasion. Today marks the third edition in the series of Taxpayers Forum that the TETFund has been organizing since its inception in 2011. The significance of the regular interaction between TETFund, FIRS, and taxpayers across the country cannot be overemphasized. By the way, you will agree with me that the executive chairman of FIRS is being represented by an executive director that has been properly recognized. And in order to ensure that we are very important, the Auditor General of the Federation is also represented, and he has been recognized. We have always tried to seek ways in which we express our appreciation to Nigerian people in general, and taxpayers in particular, for their patriotism and sacrifice in supporting us, and in the payment of education tax, respectively. The Taxpayers Forum has always served as a platform to honor and identify individuals and companies that have made tremendous contribution to education through the consistent payment of education tax, and have invariably contributed to the development of education, and by extension, that of the entire nation. By the way, let me say this. The Vice-Chancellor of Unilag is the guest speaker. I know he's been properly introduced, but if you notice, there was a special appreciation when he was recognized. Mr. Vice-Chancellor, is because you are very good. You are very good in leadership. And I'm not surprised that we have a strong delegation from Unilag. Let me tell you, it's not only Unilag that is celebrating you. All of us are celebrating you. You are providing good leadership in Unilag, in many areas that other universities have to learn. And we are proud to have invited him to deliver this very important lecture. Professor Ogundipe, you are welcome, sir. Thank you very much. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the task of building our nation requires that we develop and manage the resources, human and material, and the economy in a responsible manner. To develop the needed skills, knowledge, and ability to manage the vast human and material resources of our nation, investment in education as a nation has become inevitable. It is only through education that the human capital required to develop the social, economic, and infrastructural sectors of the country can be achieved. The TETFund formally Education Trust Fund, in fact originally Education Tax Fund, but the law was amended to change tax to trust in 1998. Was established to intervene in the areas of essential physical infrastructure for teaching and learning, instructional materials and equipment, research and publication, academic staff training and development, educational support services, and any other need deemed necessary by the BOT of TETFund, as provided in the amended Act number 16 of 2011 that established the fund. The source of funding remains the 2% education tax introduced by government at the establishment of ETF in 1993 before its transformation into TETFund in 2011. The 2% education tax is annually remitted by companies through the Federal Inland Revenue Service to TETFund for allocation and onward disbursement to beneficiary institutions across the country. The TETFund since establishment has continued to make funds available to institutions in the various intervention lines as outlined in its mandate, already highlighted above. The Honorable Minister of Education, Chairman of the Senate and House of Reps Committees on Tertiary Education, Mr. Chairman and members of the BOT of TETFund, esteemed taxpayers and captains of industry, our collective efforts over the years have not been in vain. The establishment has recorded tremendous achievements. These funds that the EDT over the years are channeled into different activities and areas in line with the mandate of the fund as enshrined in the Establishment Act. Infrastructure has been given special attention in this regard because of its decay and collapse across public tertiary institutions in Nigeria at the onset. A careful observation will reveal that the fund has between January to December 2020 alone carried out 16,982 various infrastructure projects across the beneficiary institutions. Considering the projects carried out since inception, based on annual allocation to institutions over the years, that is 2011 to 2021, 10 years. By the way, I'm pleased to inform you, in the next few months we shall be celebrating formally 10 years of the establishment, the coming into being of TETFund, originally 8 years. And I believe Nigerians agree with us. We've had the accolades that we will have many reasons, not just a single one, to celebrate 10 years. It is estimated that a total of 152,838 various infrastructure projects have been carried out across the various public tertiary institutions. These projects include construction of lecture theatres, classrooms, hostels, offices, laboratories, road networks and fencing of institutions in different parts of the country. Tertiary institutions across the country are dotted with TETFund projects, which bear the insignia of the fund, distinctly inscribed on each project. Additionally, we sponsored over 10,000 lecturers in the local PhD program, over 9,000 lecturers in the local master's degree program across the country between 2011 and 2020. The fund has also sponsored well over 4,485 lecturers to overseas institutions for PhD programs and over 3,192 master's degree candidates also overseas across tertiary institutions within the same period. Let me say this, today in Nigeria, TETFund is sponsoring the highest number of higher degree, masters and PhD overseas. The fund has, and let me say this, the indices are out there. I will never forget in a state polytechnic sometimes last year when I went to inspect, that the rector said, 5 years ago, sir, we had only 3 PhD holders in this polytechnic. Today we have 73 within a period of 5 years. These are some of the outcomes from our interventions that we are happy to share with you. The fund has further supported over 71,000 lecturers in federal and state colleges of education under its teacher supervision program popularly called teaching practice. Am I right? Bringing to a total 98,000 the number of academic staff across public tertiary institutions that have benefited from the academic staff training and development program of the fund. The fund has sponsored an estimated 17,000 plus academic staff across tertiary institutions in the country to foreign conferences. Over 4,000 non-academic staff of public tertiary institutions have also benefited from same sponsorship. Again, over 17,000 academic staff have been sponsored to attend local conferences within the country, while about 28,000 non-academic staff have also been sponsored by the fund to attend local conferences, workshops across beneficial institutions in the country, all in an effort to build the nation's capacity, skill, and manpower. In all, the fund has sponsored a total of 67,000 plus academic and non-academic staff of public tertiary institutions to local and overseas conferences between 2011 and 2021 this year. The fund's other laudable intervention programs also recorded tremendous impact, including library development and academic manuscript development books. I can tell you that there are two categories of stakeholders in our tertiary institutions that have celebrated TETFund over the last 1.5 years. The first one was technologies. They were taken by surprise when we included them for on-the-job capacity building training. In fact, they gave TETFund an award for that purpose. Laboratory technologies. If you are in the sciences, you know that the lecturer can only do as much. In terms of practice and illustration, demonstration in the laboratories out there, you need the technologies. Similarly, the librarians are also celebrating the benefit of TETFund intervention. These are some of the things we are happy to share with all of you. Between the year 2011 and 2021, the fund succeeded in procuring over 2 million books for use in libraries of public tertiary institutions across the nation to equip students and lecturers of institutions with resources required to impart the necessary knowledge required in the 21st century. TETFund also between 2011 and 2020 procured 152,000 e-resources and over 380,000 equipment and furniture distributed to various public tertiary institutions across the country. In the area of academic manuscripts, that's developing academic manuscripts to textbooks, the fund supported and approved total of 1,362 manuscripts. I can tell you without fear of contradiction, go to our libraries, the central libraries of our tertiary institution as well as faculty and departmental libraries. Most of the textbooks being used by students, you find TETFund insignia on them. These are some of the things we are proud to share with all of you. With that number, in the public tertiary institution in the country, all intended to build the capacity of academic staff and students, as well as stimulate research and publication across public tertiary institutions in the country. Research has remained a special intervention line of the fund since it was introduced in 2009. There is no doubt that research remains the most important aspect and instrument of advanced learning and innovation if society and humanity are to make any meaningful progress. Despite the efforts of my predecessors around research, given the level of growth in the country, I took the decision to take research to the next higher level in the country when I made recommendation and the Board of Trustees graciously approved it. Accordingly, in 2014, I recommended and the Board of Trustees approved the establishment of the Department of R&D and Centers of Excellence in TETFund. It was in line with the idea that Nigeria cannot hope to be competitive if we do not institutionalize R&D. And the tertiary institutions have to show example, and particularly for the universities that are historically reckoned with as leaders of research. they have to be the ones to show example, and TETFund is funding them anyway. So at TETFund, we have a department for R&D to show example, and we have established R&D centers of excellence units in all our public tertiary institutions today. It was thought that research without development will not provide the needed growth that Nigeria as a nation dearly needs. It is in realization of this fact that on 24 September 2020, the Honorable Minister of Education inaugurated the TETFund Standing Committee on Research and Development that comprised of about 164 outstanding Nigerian academics, heads of public and private research institutes, and industry operators that would see to the establishment, as we are expecting, of a National Research and Development Foundation, NRDF for short, as the ultimate outcome. The intention to promote research and innovation in tertiary institutions, research institutions, and industry, as well as the establishment of centers of excellence across tertiary institutions, remains a priority. Within the fund, the National Research Fund, NRF, was set up and 3 billion was provided as seed money in its takeoff in 2011. And in 2015, another 1 billion was added. In 2019, following approval of the Board of Trustees, the NRF allocation became annual. That was revolutionary in the context of these progressive achievements and scale up in respect of research. It became annual. In 2020, following the recommendation of the Board of Trustees through the Honorable Minister of Education, Mala Adamu, President Muhammadu Buhari approved a further 50% increase in allocation to the NRF, being 7.5 billion for that year, and 8.5 billion in the year 2021. Between the year 2012 and 2019, a total of 9 billion was committed to the NRF, with about 457 research projects approved across the country. This is in addition to the institution-based research, IBR as we call it, and support for academic research journals across public tertiary institutions by TETFund. About 2,000 plus projects were approved for the institution-based research between 2011 and 2021, while about 342 academic research journal projects were undertaken within the same period. Despite our achievement and our level of being Nigeria's role model intervention agency, for which we have attracted the commendation and partnership of the Fulbright Scholarship Program of the USA. And as I talk to you, I can confirm to you that we are almost concluding an MOU with the Fulbright Scholarship, and they are proud to do so with TETFund because of our positive record. And most recently, our approval as the first Nigerian institution to join the Commonwealth Science Granting Council in Africa. We are not done until we realize the approval and signing of the NRDF bill as the largest research and development funding and product commercialization facilitating basket, comparable with that of the most developed nations of the world that are driven by knowledge economy in the 21st century. Similarly, and in order to improve the quality of the learning environment, we have decided to invest more in the provision of hostels. I can tell you, this is a key passion of the current chairman of the Board of Trustees. Hostels, ICT, and power. I want to give credit to the chairman of the Board of Trustees. And we all agree with him. He has consistently been emphasizing it. In any case, you will soon hear from him. You will hear from the horse's mouth. Thus contributing to attracting students and to help in improving the IGR of our beneficiary institutions. The Honorable Minister of Education, distinguished guests and taxpayers, this is our report card. And yet, we welcome suggestions that can make us deliver more impactfully. Our commitment and resolve to contribute in building a prosperous nation remains unshaken. The American economist and Nobel laureate, recipient in economics in 1992, Professor Gary Becker of the University of Chicago, was quoted saying, and I quote, "My work on human capital development began with an effort to calculate both private and social rates of return to men, women, blacks, and other groups from investment in different levels of education," which summarizes the essence, reason, and purpose of our gathering here today. With the collective cooperation and commitment of the stakeholders to our basic responsibilities as responsible citizens and leaders, there is much to be achieved for our dear nation. At this occasion, we shall showcase documentary and statistical evidence of the fund's projects for all to see as a testimony to what we have collectively been able to achieve. I congratulate you all for these laudable collective achievements, and for me particularly, as the ES of TETFund, I use this opportunity to sincerely doff my hat to management and the entire staff that have cooperated with me to achieve all this. Once more, it is my delightful pleasure to humbly welcome you all to this historic occasion and proceed to invite the chairman of the Board of Trustees of TETFund, the Matawali Borno, to deliver his address. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
And I'm delighted to stand before you. The ES has given an account of our achievements at TETFund in the past 10 years. In 10 years, TETFund has become synonymous with excellence. Our mission this afternoon is very simple. First and foremost, to say a big thank you to all the major companies that have over the years contributed enormous sums of money as education tax to the coffers of the TETFund. Secondly, this forum is about giving an account. It is to whom much is given, they say, much is expected. And I believe that you've had the account of our Executive Secretary. We've more than justified the mandate of TETFund. In 10 years, you've had the account given by the ES. We've executed big, medium-sized, small projects totaling more than 150,000. We've also trained more than 80,000 lecturers. 30,000, yes. Our intervention from the inception of the Education Tax Fund in the year 1993 to date is more than 2.5 trillion naira. For this year alone, our budget is over 300 billion naira. More than 2/3 of that, i.e., over 200 billion, will be committed to the development of additional infrastructure. Over 30 billion naira will be dedicated to academic staff training and development alone. Needless to add, TETFund is doing very well. Most of the major donors are here, but I also want to recognize the fact that there are several key donors that are not here today, perhaps on account of COVID. And we must also recognize those companies. I want to single out in particular the Nigerian LNG for the fact that consistently, persistently, over the years, it has topped our list of donors. The recognition will be done subsequently, but amongst the major donors also are Shell, Chevron, Mobil, MTN. For the telcos, understandably, MTN made the list of first 10. For the banks, GT made the list of first 10. And I want to announce that from next year, we are going to institutionalize an award for the 3 biggest contributors to the fund. And I'm saying so that you compete. I also want to appeal to, in particular, the banks, because if you look at the list of the major donors, it is dominated by the oil majors. I'm appealing to the banks and the telcos to redouble their efforts so that we will also feature prominently on our list of major donors from next year. The years alluded to my passion is true, but I've infected the entire membership of the Board of Trustees, as well as the management of TETFund. When I assumed duties about 15 months ago, I looked at all the major areas of our intervention, and it occurred to me that there are 3 very critical sectors, critical areas that we did not feature prominently in. I had the advantage also, on the eve of my assumption of office, to attend a briefing at the Federal Ministry of Education, specifically in the conference hall of the Honorable Minister, Mana Adamado, on his invitation. In the course of that presentation, the Executive Secretary of the National Universities Commission, who also happens to be a member of the Board of Trustees of TETFund, alluded to the fact that hostel accommodation across Nigerian universities is just 15%, i.e., 85% of Nigerian students are not accommodated on the campuses. And I took that up as a major challenge. So the yes is right. The Board of Trustees has approved that we should intervene decisively in the provision of hostel accommodation for Nigerian students. We have a very ambitious program, i.e. to do 160,000 bed spaces across 100 university campuses. Totally 160,000 additional bed spaces. The second critical area of intervention that the board has adopted is in the area of laying the necessary infrastructure that will facilitate e-learning. Prior to the onset of COVID, these could have been considered a luxury, but no more. Now it has become absolutely essential. And we are rolling out the first of this program in the University of Abuja, where we've laid 20 kilometers of fiber optics presently, and we've also built an innovation center that comes complete with incubation centers, smart lecture halls, data room, server room, and so on and so forth. The third critical area of intervention is in the area of the provision of power. And I'm happy that Professor Ogundipe is here. Just last week, he protested to me that he paid 181 million naira as NEPA bills. No university can afford this. I'm happy to inform you that we partnered with another federal government agency known as the Rural Electrification Agency in launching a program known as EES, Energizing the Education Sector. Currently, there's an ongoing effort to energize 25 campuses. I'm happy specifically today to announce that TETFund, in partnership with REA, will be completing 2 critical power projects. One in the University of Lagos, Unilag, (8.5 megawatts). The second one in the University of Ife. And we'll be doing this across the zones, all the 6 geopolitical zones. I'm also happy to announce that the power plant for the Bio University Kano, also 8.5 megawatts, has been completed and is ready for launching. Now, all of these will require Dangote cement, Boa cement. You don't feature on our first list of 10. Some I'm disappointed don't even feature on our first list of 20. You must rise up to the challenge. I'm a little bit baffled that Airtel is doing better than Glo. There's something wrong. So, all the telcos should rise up to the challenge. I and my colleagues on the Board of Trustees and the ES and the management of TETFund are very determined to make sure that we do everything humanly possible to meet this target of 500 billion. And I dare say, within the next 4 years, it is from my experience doing IGR for Lagos. I said it grew from a little over 600 to 35 billion a month. Revenue in TETFund can easily grow from 300 billion to 1 trillion naira. That is our ultimate goal.
Who is on some other national assignments in Kaduna. He sent his best wishes and has asked me to deliver his remarks. I also sent in a team to witness this great occasion. I am delighted to attend this very auspicious occasion, and I join all stakeholders to congratulate the Executive Secretary of the TETFund for organizing this event and for his achievement since mounting the saddle of this strategic agency. As most of you are aware, the Federal Inland Revenue Service is a key partner of the TETFund. We assist in the assessment, collection, and accounting for their revenue, as enshrined in Section 21A of TETFund Act. Outlined below are details of how education tax is implemented in Nigeria. It is governed by Tertiary Education Trust Fund Establishment Act 2011. EDT is imposed on all companies registered in Nigeria. So all registered companies in Nigeria are expected to pay education tax. FRA shall assess a company for tertiary education when assessing the company for company's income tax or petroleum profit tax for an accounting period as enshrined also in Section 21A of the TETFund Act. The rate of the tax is 2% of the accessible profit of that particular company. The due date for filing returns is the same as that of the CIT and PPT. For companies subject to PPT, tertiary education tax is treated as an allowable deduction. In 2020, last year, FRS collected and remitted the sum of 259.5 billion naira to TETFund, which went a long way in supporting the development of education at the tertiary level. TETFund will be celebrating its 10-year anniversary by next month, and it suffices to say that over these 10 years, FRS had assisted TETFund to collect 2.052 trillion naira. I think this is a plus for the FRS. And at the FRS, we implemented a number of initiatives, principally driven by the use of information technology, to fully automate the tax administration process. In particular, is the introduction of the Tax Pro Max solution, which is an online filing, assessment, and payment platform, which we have successfully implemented across our offices. The DOT had made mention of the telecoms. I want to assure you, sir, that the FRS just a couple of months ago opened offices specifically to take care of telecommunications companies. Those tax offices are open to cater for telcos only. So I can assure you that in the next couple of months you will see improvements in the education. Yes, sir. The Tax Pro Max solution, which the service adopted, actually helped us to collect over 650 billion naira in one single month, which translates, of course, to higher TETFund collection, and it is the highest ever single collection recorded in a single month in the history of the FRS. Trying to say in the next couple of months, by the adoption of this new solution, revenues will continue to increase. Additionally, we have revitalized our compliance activities, such as the tax audit and tax investigation, with administrative and process adjustments for more effective operations. This will also surely impact positively on the levels of TETFund collections. FRS is now a technology-driven institution as we leverage on business intelligence data through the use of third-party information on non-compliant businesses in a bid to close the compliance gap. Trying to say also, in the next couple of months, under the administration of the executive chairman of the FRS, every single company will be made to pay his or her taxes as and when. I can assure you that, sir.
The government, the nation, and the Tertiary Education Trust Fund, in view of the giant strides that have been able to achieve in the country's education sector, notwithstanding the challenges which this present government, led by President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR, is determined to surmount. Development of a nation is synonymous with the development of its education sector. Many nations with highly developed economies have achieved so by deploying huge investments into the sector from both the public and private sectors. Our nation can therefore not be an exception. Our desire to, one, is to reduce significantly the out-of-school children population. Two, to consolidate all the achievements of the Millennium Goals of education. And three, to improve access and quality of our tertiary education. And there are but a few of the many programs, projects, and policies of this present administration to change the narrative of our education landscape. The government views with great importance the private sector participation in this regard, and it is for this reason that we are gathered here today, a forum of taxpayers, to appreciate and formally intimate them on the many positive achievements resulting from their immense contributions over the years to education, particularly the 2% education tax collection imposed on all registered companies doing business in Nigeria. This is collected by the Federal Inland Revenue Service and managed by the Tertiary Education Trust Fund. The Tertiary Education Trust Fund has over the years contributed immensely to the advancement of tertiary education in Nigeria through the commitment of this respectable forum using the 2% EDT collection. And it is no longer news that TETFund has become a model Nigerian intervention brand with a preponderance of different intervention projects that cut across critical sectors of public tertiary education sector in the country. Suffice, therefore, to say that the future is really bright and we can indeed keep alive given relentless efforts as well as consistent contribution of this prestigious forum of taxpayers.
The catalyst of transforming tertiary education in Nigeria and being a beneficiary too of this platform and TETFund Intervention. We're presenting my paper from one preamble, TETFund beneficiary institutions, allocations and disbursements, TETFund intervention areas, TETFund interventions as a catalyst, University of Lagos experience, challenges and way forward, conclusions. Like I said, I'm presenting it as somebody that had benefited from TETFund as a researcher and also as a scholar. Let me talk about the preamble. TETFund was established because of the issue of strike when I was younger in the system then, around 91, 92, 93, and ASU came up with the issue of funding education in Nigerian universities. And at that time, I remember Chief Actor Mbanifo was one of the members of the team set up by the government, and Jega was the chairman of ASU. And the young man then, who was one of them, is today's Professor Oguru, the ES TETFund. He was one of those people that time. Then ASU came up with the idea that 2% education tax fund can be gotten from the companies. And in 1993, Decree 7 was came up concerning the 2% deduction in that area. Then in 1993 also, in 1998, it was repealed and you have Decree 40. At the advent of the civilian regime, they came up with the educational tax cap, E4 laws of the Federation of Nigeria in 2004. In 2011, we have the Tertiary Education Trust Fund coming up with another act. Before that time, we got to the level of using the fund in primary schools, and other level of in secondary schools too. But after 2011, the focus then was on tertiary secondary schools in the country. Presently, we have total of 2015, however, my data is still, my statistics is right, 81 universities, 64 polytechnics, 70 colleges of education. But I know we might have added another polytechnic or colleges of education, I don't know yet. So the sharing formula is such that the university will get 2, polytechnic 1, and the colleges of education 1. From 1999 to 2018, in 1999, 2.7 billion was collected, and in 2010, 283.3 billion collected in the system. About 9 years ago, I was the director of academic planning then. If you look at the universities, 9.958 people benefited in attending international conferences, and the local one was 12,415. So it means that 22,374 people in their career, they have benefited from TETFund. The same thing with the polytechnics. The local and the international level, over 14,000. Colleges of education, over 20,000. So the total, 57,000 people have benefited from TETFund as at that time. And it means that the manpower level in the polytechnic, in the college of education and universities is being able to improve through this intervention. If you look at the library intervention, 16 billion naira disbursed to the university as at 2 years ago. To the polytechnics, 10 billion naira. College of education, 10 billion naira. There is no other place that you can get this type of facility in Nigeria or in West Africa except through TETFund. Then, after some time, the Board of Trustees now thought that there is need to encourage our colleagues in writing books, because it became difficult for them to write, to get publishers, because we always say then that the salary we are getting cannot take us home, and we now want to use that same salary to start publishing books. TETFund institutions in Nigeria. That's the advantage of this. Instead of the publisher thinking about raising money to go and publish and having problems with publishing. So from TETFund, once you have gone through all the processes, the book publication will be funded by TETFund. Then the institutional-based research, which I also benefited from. There are two types. You have the institutional-based research. That is like a seed grant for you to do a project, a research work, and if you believe that you need to escalate that research work, you can do it through this platform. And I want to say publicly that one of the researches that myself and my mentees we embarked on, in which we used TETFund grant for about 5 years ago. Just this year, I got another grant of 38,000 euro, and my mentee got a research grant of 18,000 euro. So I want to say thank you to TETFund for introducing the institutional-based research. The maximum you can get is 2 million for that, and the universities got 4.6 billion naira, polytechnics 2.4 billion naira, and colleges of education 2.2 billion naira. Then let's go to the other one, that is the National Research Grant, which is maximum is 50 million naira. I want to say that through that platform, again, myself and my research team, we have gotten research grant of over 200 million naira through that platform. Initially, when we started about 4 years ago, it was as if this is another joker for TETFund. So only few people applied. Out of the few people that applied, I was the only one that was giving the grants in the University of Lagos. But you cannot believe it that 2 years ago, over 100 people applied for University of Lagos, and we got the highest grant of over 400 million naira. The last one, we are getting over 400 million naira for research grants in different areas of interest. So I want you to know that University of Lagos is benefiting from the grants. So in 2020, for the physical infrastructure is the one you use to put up new buildings. You go to some universities, like rightly said earlier on, you would think that it's University of TETFund, because TETFund building is all over the place. For physical infrastructure, over 301 billion naira is allocated for the intervention in 2020. The special intervention is over 206 billion naira. I'm talking of billion, not billion, and you know what that translates into. Another thing that came up along the line is entrepreneurship development. My university benefited, and today University of Lagos is the best entrepreneurship, has the best entrepreneurship center in any university in Nigeria. We go to say that. Because we have universities from other states coming to our university to see what we are doing in that area. We got support from Bank of Industry. Because what we are doing in the University of Lagos, the next graduation ceremony we are going to have, students getting degrees, either in medicine, in law, in Yoruba, in English, in Igbo, in Hausa. We also have a diploma in entrepreneurship. So that program sponsored by TETFund is such that right from your year one, you start doing the program. But now we are doing a crash program for those people who are interested, and we are having the program online now. Over 300 students have launched into it. So we are benefited, and we are making use of the fund judiciously. Then along the line, they came up with the project maintenance, because the structures they are putting up through TETFund, they are getting old, and there's need to maintain those structures, because you have TETFund on it, which is a brand. For this year, you have 7 billion naira allocated for this year 2020, for last year 2020. And for the entrepreneurship development, we have 10.8 billion naira. For the library development, rightly said by the ES earlier on, 34.8 billion naira allocated for library development, because before that time, many of the library facilities, they have gone down, and there's need to upgrade the facility we have in our libraries. The special high impact project, which is about 184 billion naira, high impact for tertiary institutions that need special intervention. We also have the zonal intervention for 2020, which is 55 billion naira, and the ICT support, which the chairman of TETFund is more interested in now, that is 4.5 billion naira. The advocacy, just 148. The academic staff training for staff. You can remember, I gave you the number of people that are benefited. For 2020, we have 115 billion naira for academic training. Then for the institutional-based research, that is like a startup grant for people that want to do research, just something to start. And I've given you an example of myself, that I got a research grant of 38,000 euro this very year, but started with the startup grants for the research about 5 years ago. So for the institutional-based research, we have 15 billion naira. And the academic research journal, it was another idea that came up along the line for universities that are struggling in publishing journals. So you now have a journal from that university that is funded from the allocation we get from TETFund. And it is such that the journal must be online. It's not only the hard copy that must be available, you must have it published online too. Conference attendance, I benefited from conference attendance some years back when I was the Director of Academic Planning. That's 23.2 billion naira. Academic manuscripts, that is 3 billion naira. The total is 968 billion naira. There is no body, no organization in this country that can release, that is been able to release this amount of funds into either polytechnic, universities, or colleges of education in Nigeria, except through TETFund. And I'm being bold to say that I always say something. Tell me or show me. Another idea came up, I think it was during the time of the first tenure of Professor Gogoro, before he went on sabbatical leave. In 6 geopolitical zones, they came up with academic publishing centers, knowing very well that it became a big problem publishing the books that they want to release. They now came up with academic publishing centers in 6 geopolitical zones. And in the University of Lagos, we have one of the centers which we are working on to make visible now. We also have the Center of Excellence, TETFund Centers of Excellence. The University of Lagos, we are benefiting from that. We have one of the centers too. So that was why I want to say that I thank the ES TETFund for inviting me to give this talk. Because, you know, when they first started the NYC, I remember my senior brother told me where I was posted to. As a medical doctor, when he prescribed a drug to somebody, they will ask him, did you use it? If you say no, say, give me the one that you use. Now that I have part of this, I can definitely speak to the opportunities that are available through TETFund. Now, let me now narrow it to the University of Lagos. We pride ourselves as the university of first choice and the nation's pride. And the immediate past president is here, Oluwatoyin Ogundipe. With this support that we got from TETFund, our ranking in Nigeria as of today, based on what the Commonwealth University told us, University of Lagos is number 1 in Nigeria and number 8 in Africa. Number 8 in Africa. The entrepreneurship center that I mentioned earlier to you, we look at Forbes ranking, University of Lagos is the 3rd best university for entrepreneurship education in Africa. Then, a time came that we were thinking about scholars coming from outside the country. You know, Unilag, we have problem of accommodation. Then, Professor Gogoro and the former Vice-Chancellor, my boss, met, and they came up with the idea of having scholar suits, well furnished. So scholars from outside the country, presently we have Fulbright scholars who are occupying the flats. So what they do is just to come in with their dress, move into that place, well furnished, and when they are going, they don't need to start thinking about where they're going to get rented accommodation. So we have that one on campus too. We call it the scholars suit through the special intervention of 2013. Apart from that, we have the high impact intervention that we use to re-roof our Faculty of Engineering, which was leaking at that time. So we have to use the fund to re-roof it. Then we have the fire station buildings, 2 buildings that we are able to, we use the TETFund intervention to put up. Presently, we have the Faculty of Social Sciences lecture theater, which is an edifice, a unique building in the University of Lagos, which we have been using for international conference now, because it has all the facilities needed for international conference. I mentioned earlier on about the Academic Publishing Center. I have the picture, if the IT people, next slide please. Next one, that is the Faculty of Social Sciences. Yes, that is the Academic Publishing Center, in which we are bringing in members from other universities to come on board so that it can become a reality. Before we got this intervention for BOSS, I've field trip for our students. We didn't have any bus to take our students on field trip. Geosciences students want to go on field trip. Geology students want to go on field trip. And other students, we didn't have a bus that would take them out for field trip. But now we have a bus the capacity is about 62 students seated and about 20 standing. So we have that bus now. Let me now go to, thank you very much. Let me now go to the challenges and way forward. Challenges and way forward. Number one, there's a need for the companies to pay tax. It's very important because available data in 2008 confirms that about 2.2 million companies are registered in Nigeria, but only 104 companies are always paid. The other thing is the lack of the harmonization of modalities for granting tax holidays to companies by relevant arms of government. There's need for us to look at that and see how we can help some of these companies. I'll give you one example. During our convocation, we just announced that we need tablets for 3,500 students. And the chairman of the company paid for it. So something like that, in developed countries, they always have debates. Then there is low response rate from FIRS. I'm happy that FIRS representative already committed himself. So committed the company that they will make sure they improve on what they are doing now. Then we have discrepancies in the figures received from FIRS headquarters and the field officers. We said we are going to do something about that too. Nigeria's dependence on oil and gas, we need to look at the possibility of getting our revenue from other areas. There is a need for reduction or total elimination of unhealthy bureaucratic bottlenecks. Now it's better. It's better than what we used to have 4 years ago in TETFund. Now it's faster than what we had before. Then there's need to increase the annual normal allocation because someone like myself and I'm an Oliver Twist. I want more allocation so that we can put up more structures on campus. There's need to decentralize TETFund activities by creating zonal and or state offices for easy administrative purpose. Then the next one is my conclusion. TETFund interventions have impacted positively on the infrastructural and human development of tertiary institutions over the years in a number of ways. One, general improvement in facilities and library, acquisition of higher degrees by academic staff, increase in learning and updating of research skills and output, increase in students' understanding of teaching methods, among others. TETFund has left indelible positive footprints and indeed has served as a catalyst for sustainable development of tertiary institutions in Nigeria.
Documentary, although we couldn't see it till the end. And now, ladies and gentlemen, at this point, I would like to invite the chairman of today's occasion, and I'd like to crave your indulgence and ask that we please rise as we welcome the Executive Governor of Lagos State, who is ably represented by his deputy, Dr. Kadri Obafemi Hamzat, for his remarks. A round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for the Deputy Governor of Lagos State.
Express the appreciation of Mr. Governor and the good people of Lagos State to the Executive Secretary, Professor Boro, for hosting this in Lagos and for this invitation. This third edition of this forum, I think, is designed to showcase the achievements of the fund and also to acknowledge the contribution of various organizations that has contributed immensely to the success of TETFund. And I think we must commend the guest speaker, Professor Ogundipe, because you are able to show us the data and the human indices that TETFund has done for our country. And for that, again, we are grateful the Executive Secretary, and of course the Chairman BOT and all management of TETFund. This idea is highly commendable as it demonstrates the commitment and the leadership and management of TETFund to accountability and transparency, which are essential to securing and sustaining the trust of taxpayers and other stakeholders in the educational sector. I think this forum encourages us to talk to our friends in the industry to say that the contribution is key. Like Professor Ogundipe again said, tell me that country where you are doing well, but the universities are not doing well. It doesn't exist. In fact, in one of his books, Walter Isaac, I think we all know, it's a Nobel laureate, The Innovators. It clearly shows the role of various institutions in the progress of the United States. As a matter of fact, the United States of America will not be what it is if they didn't start the Academy of Science and the Academy of Engineering, chaired at the time by the Dean of Engineering of MIT. The research that they had is still there. My understanding, based on that report, is that they only utilize about 46% of what was back then. So we all live in a state of dysfunctionality when we don't fund our universities. So all these institutions that you mentioned, Nigerian companies, all the rest, it is in our interest to fund the universities. But I will talk again later about my challenge to TETFund. So it is common knowledge that funding has been a major topic regarding our tertiary institutions in Nigeria. So adequate funding for infrastructure development and research will definitely have positive impact on the quality of research at this level and will hopefully reduce the incessant industrial conflict and disruption of academic calendar and public institutions. The theme of this year and the edition of the program TETFund Intervention, Catalyst for Transforming Tertiary Education in Nigeria, reflects perfectly the main objective that informed the establishment of TETFund in the first instance. And I believe the board and management are working hard to achieve that objective, as highlighted by what we have seen this morning. The list of achievements which the board and management of TETFund are proud to showcase this occasion is a testimony not only to its commitment, but more importantly, the soundness of the idea that informed its establishment. The emergence of TETFund in the nation's educational space as an interventionist fund or agency was of course a welcome idea. It was a creation of the law, as we all know, and a child of necessity that has provided respite and support to the alien educational system at a time when financing was a challenge. And as mentioned by all the speakers, a lot of the practitioners are telling us that without TETFund, our university would have even been worse. It is therefore on record that this agency that was established by the government with the responsibility of administering education collected by federal inland revenue from the annual accessible profits credit committee via supplementary support to public tertiary institutions in Nigeria. It shouldn't be that difficult. The executive secretary of TETFund is a professor, so I'm sure he knows how to it is. It is easy to calculate the profit of companies in Nigeria. In fact, it is declared through annual general meetings. This 2%, so it's the difference should be clear for everybody to see. And we should be able to challenge those that are not paying. Let us understand what we are doing to our children when we don't pay. And I'm sure they will pay. So I think that is part of my challenge. I have no doubt in my mind there are the achievements that have been recorded by TETFund in the areas of provision and maintenance of strategic physical infrastructure for teaching and learning, instructional materials, equipment, research and publication, and training of academic staff and development of human capacity is essential in our tertiary institutions. The effort of TETFund is therefore an eye-opener to the heights that our tertiary institutions take with improved funding. So at this time, I must say, interestingly by coincidence, I think Professor Ogundipe is the chairman of our own research that we fund in Lagos State. And I think last year, we put in 250 million to various small individuals doing various researches. And one of them, we just got a ventilator, a locally made ventilator. We're going through medical trials now, and we just got the certification for it. So it's moving. We just need to push it more. As we all know, no nation can talk about meaningful achievements without the development of its human capacity. It is through the upgrade and sustenance of the human resource that other factors needed to grow the economy can be given meaning. As we therefore gather this afternoon to talk about what TETFund has done, it is important to state that funding for education sector must be prioritized. We must consistently improve the level of funding for this critical sector if we desire to be a key player in the 21st century economy, which is knowledge and technology driven. I've spoken about the group by Walter Isaacson, the innovators. The challenge for TETFund is how do we create our own Silicon Valley from our universities. So I think that's where the funding should go. Because as a developing country, we must understand that brick and mortar does not teach. Brick and mortar does not do research. It is human beings that do researches. MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, has assets, income that is bigger than 16 countries in Africa. How is that? Columbia University, New York, has assets in pharmaceutical alone. Last year was $1.9 billion. We say we are a rich country. Okay. The budget of Lagos State is $3 billion. That is less than the endowment of Harvard University is $600 billion. So how do we actually go out there and say we are a very rich country? We are not. The only way we can be is to fund our universities, and history is littered with this. The country of Taiwan was a country that depends only on mushroom. Mushroom is the university that changed their stories. It started in the electrical engineering faculty of the universities, and that's how they became electrical giants. When you go to faculties of engineering in Nigeria, there are so many researchers that they have done that, useless, wasted. How can we bring it out? And I think that is what TETFund must focus on. How do we take the researches to the market? How do we bring it out? It is therefore imperative that as stakeholders, we must collectively show commitment to develop implementable strategies and initiatives that will significantly enhance the level of funding on a sustainable basis for public tertiary institutions in our country. On this note, I'd like to congratulate the Board of Trustees, the Executive Secretary Management and Staff of TETFund on your achievements so far, and wish you